Today we're going to be looking at 7.4 polygons. A polygon, just to keep things simple, is a closed figure. That means that every shape that we're looking at is not going to have part of it that's open. So for example, this would be considered a polygon. This would not, because there's this open area where the shape isn't completely closed in. So as long as the shape looks like this, where everything's closed in, it's what we're working with. First thing, find the sum of the angle measures in each figure. To find the sum of the angles in a polygon, we're going to use this formula every time, 180 times n minus 2, where n is equal to the number of sides. So for this first problem, I'm going to start by writing 180, which is part of my formula. I'm then going to, in my parentheses, put something minus 2. I'm going to count how many sides are on the shape. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to put a 4 in here. So 180 times 4 minus 2 is 2. So my final answer here is going to be 360 degrees. That's how many degrees are inside the shape. So if I knew this angle, this angle, this angle, and this angle, they would add up to 360. This next one, same thing. I'm going to start with 180 times something minus 2. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 sides of this shape, so I would do 8 minus 2. When I do that, I get 180 times 6. When I do 180 times 6, I get 1,080 degrees. This next one, if you remember from our triangle lesson, all triangles are going to have an interior angle total of 180 degrees. This formula still works. If I do 180 times 1, 2, 3 times 3 minus 2, I'm going to get 180 times 1, which is 180 degrees. This next part, find the sum of the angle measures in each figure, then figure out the angle measure in each regular polygon. What I want to do for the first part is I want to figure out exactly what I did up top. What the total of adding these three angles are. So I'm going to say that there are 3 sides. So I can actually copy down my answer from up here. 180 times 3 sides minus 2 makes 180 times 1, which makes 180 degrees. So the sum, the first answer, the sum of all the angles is going to be 180 degrees. I want to figure out what each one of these are. The nice thing about each one of these shapes is that each angle is going to have the same measurement. All I need to do from here is divide this number by how many sides there were, or how many angles there were. So if I do 180, and then I divide it by 3, I get 60. So that means that each angle is equal to 60 degrees. So there are 3 angles that are 60. 60 plus 60 plus 60 makes 180. This next one, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sides on this shape. So to solve this one, I would start by doing 180 times 10 minus 2. So I would get 180 times 8. When you solve that, you're going to get 1,440 degrees. So the first thing, all the angles are going to add up to 1,440 degrees. If I want to figure out how much each angle is, I'm going to take this number and divide it by how many sides there were. So there were 1,440 degrees. There were 10 sides, so I divide that by 10, and I get 144. So each angle is 144. When I add all 10 of them together, I get 1,440. The next one, I really don't need a picture. I just need to know how many sides there are. A 20gon just means there are 20 sides. So I'm going to start by doing 180 times 20 minus 2. So that's going to be 180 times 18. When I do that, I get 3,240 degrees. So the sum is going to be 3,240 degrees. To figure out how much each angle is, I'm going to take 3,240 and I'm going to divide it by 20. When I divide that, I get 162. So that means each angle is 162 degrees. This last part, we have a little bit of an equation to solve, but it won't be too bad. Find the sum of the angle measures, then write an equation and solve for the missing variable. So for this first one, I know that it's a polygon. I need to figure out what the inside of this is supposed to be. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides on this shape. So I'm going to start by doing my 180 times 5 minus 2. So I get 180 times 3. So I should get all of these adding up to 540 degrees. I then need to figure out what W is. All I do from here is subtract all these other measurements, and it'll tell me what's left over and what I need. So if I do 540 minus 125 minus 55 minus 113 minus 110, I'm going to get W is equal to 137 degrees. That's what's left over and would go here for W. If you notice, W is an obtuse angle, so it should be an answer bigger than 90, and that's what we got. If you're not sure this answer is correct, if we add 137, 125, 110, 113, and 55 together, we should get 540. This next one, I have X inside of an expression, a 90-degree angle mark, and a 20-degree angle here. So to start with this one, I know that a triangle is 180 degrees. That's what I'm looking to solve. What I need to do is set everything with X equal to everything that's not X. So I'm going to start by putting 8x plus 10 off on its own side, and that's going to be equal to 180 minus the other two angles I know. I know that this is 90 degrees, and I know that this is 20, so I'm going to put minus 90, minus 20. I'm going to simplify this side as far as I can go. This is going to be 8x plus 10 still. It's going to be equal to 70. From here, all I have to do is solve this equation. I'm going to subtract 10, and I get 8x is equal to, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to on this next problem, I don't have just a variable to solve here. I have a variable inside of this parenthesis set as an expression. I know that a triangle is going to be a total of 180 degrees on the inside. I'm going to start by taking this 8x minus 10 and setting it equal to everything else. 180 minus the two angles I already know. Minus 90, minus 20. I'm going to start by solving this side with subtraction. I'm going to go down to just 70. On this side, this just drops down. 8x plus 10 is equal to 70. I'm sorry, that's going to be a minus 10. I'm going to add it to move it. So plus 10, plus 10. 8x is equal to 80. So x is going to be equal to 10. If I plug 10 inside of this and solve it, I will figure out what this angle is that's missing. This last one is going to require a little bit of work because if you notice, we have two expressions here. I'm going to start by setting both of these expressions on the same side with each other. So I'm going to put 9x minus 11 plus 9x plus 5. Oops, not 15, just 5. So I'm putting this and this next to each other on the side because they're both inside the parentheses. I need to figure out from here my number that I'm subtracting everything from. So this has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So if I do 180 times 4 minus 2, I get 180 times 2. So the inside of this is going to be 360 degrees. So I'm going to write 360 minus my other two numbers, minus 94, minus 56. When I do that subtraction on the right, I'm going to get 210 is equal to, on this side, I'm going to start combining things and simplify them. 9x plus 9x would make 18x. Negative 11 plus 5 would make minus 6. So I can simplify this to here. I'm going to add 6 to both sides to get 18x is equal to 216. When I divide both sides by 18, I'm going to get a final answer of x is equal to 12.